for a minute until you got your foot in the stirrup and then she would take off. Never got her to stand still the whole time. Not what I was looking for.
That's horrible. I don't ride horses like that, you guys. I don't ride horses. No horse has ever come to me that I will ride. Why? Number one, what do, guys? I ride bitless and a bareback pad and no helmet. I'm not stupid and I'm not arrogant. Meaning, I don't get on a horse until I get permission, till I've earned it. So when horses come to me like that, and believe me, I've had hundreds of them like that, I do everything to get them to trust me and build their confidence so that this never happens. It never happens, but it takes a while. And so the owners have to know, look, in 30 days, 60 days, it might not be 60 days of a 90-day program with me until I can get on your horse. And that might be all I fix in 90 days, is that this horse will come and pick me up, pick you up, pick up one of my assistants here learning, and trust us and not get re-triggered. Because a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to throw my horse into a 90-day program with you, Caroline, and you're going to fix all this, plus it's going to learn a lot more. That's a whole nother myth I want to bust on. All these 30-day, 90-day programs. Look, most of the time these horses need at least 6 months to a year to fully get over whatever created this and replace that negative behavior, learned behavior of how to handle whatever's messed up with the horse with a positive one. And you can't even begin to teach a horse something new, develop a foundation until you get over all these triggers and all these problems. That's a whole nother series I'm going to be busting on. So right now, this is wrong, and I'm sick of this stuff being populated out there. This is propaganda, that this is acceptable. Anybody can put a saddle on, look at her and hang on and pull your horse's nose around and try to bend it to a stop. Anybody can ride a buck, most of us can, if you're prepared for it. But the point is I don't want to, and it's inhumane, and the horse is horrified. Maybe the horse is being bratty. Maybe it's learned that if it acts this way, it can get its rider off of them. There are some horses like that, and shame on you. Shame on whoever developed this horse to allow it to get to that point. It's like raising kids. But most of the time, 97% of horses that act like this, there's a trauma. We've got to get to the cause and not just try to put a Band-Aid on it. And the Band-Aid is aggression, dominance, and force. We beat these horses down. We may not physically beat this horse up, but he's going to run it into the ground. And again, till the horse raises its white flag. So here we go. Let's see how far we get.
She's going to hurt both of us. Most people want to fix the behavioral problems from on the saddle. I want to do it on the ground.
Look at him. Look at him. So it's hard to catch what he just said. Let me see if I can play it here.
You want to move your feet? That's fine, but you're going to move them on my terms.
Yeah, you're going to move them on my terms. Look at this, and he's yanking on its bit.
You would stand still for...
So that's the other thing that really drives me crazy, is how much he yanks on this horse's mouth. And the horse is panicking, and he's just right on top of it, trying to make that a lot of pressure so the horse stops. Eventually, you guys, this horse is going to throw itself over backwards. That's how dangerous this gets.
Most people want to fix the behavioral problems from on the saddle. I want to do it on the ground.
So he said most people would have picked the behavioral problems, or they would have approached it on the saddle. He says, but I'm going to do it on the ground first. Okay. I guarantee you he can do it from the saddle, and he would if he wasn't being filmed. He's only approaching it that way through this video because he's lying, and he knows damn well that most of his audience doesn't have the confidence, nor should they have confidence or skill to try and handle this while riding. Nor should you. You should get off. It's dangerous. But how he's approaching this on the ground is just wrong.
You want to move your feet? That's fine, but you're going to move them on my terms.
So look at him yanking. Yep, he doesn't care if the horse, you know the horse went over backwards right now. Yep, there it goes, guys. So now we'll have to listen to 100 ads. Let me see if I can get through these ads, because he's all about selling his work.
She's a registered Tennessee Walker. She's 8 years old. I got her because she's pretty and she's a gated horse.
So she's 8 years old and she's a registered Tennessee Walker, and I'm going to tell you right now, I know exactly why this horse does what it does. I've worked with so many gated horses, especially when I had my facility up in Pennsylvania, and I was in an easier demographic for people to bring horses from the Midwest all the way up from Vermont. Most of my audience was from Maryland to Vermont to Ohio. I can't tell you how many different gated breeds I worked with. And most of them, I'd say 99% of them, how about 100% of them, were all trail horses. So what happens, this horse is 8 years old, so I know dang well this horse was started out on a trail and ridden hard. So it's petrified. Every time someone gets on, it's gonna gate them and work them, and the horse's mind is blown. I would get these 3-year-old Kentucky Mountain. I think I'm saying it right. My brain's in 100 different directions right now with this video. Gated horse, Rocky Mountain, Rocky Mountain. There's also the Kentucky. Beautiful, you know, flaxen, golden mane and chocolate color with the dapples. I can't tell you how many I worked with. $10,000 horse. They get them from Kentucky breeding farms, and at 3 years of age, they were a disaster. And my audience is usually an older, in my age, a little bit younger, 10 years younger to 20 years older audience. It's coming back to horses, and they want something safe. So they pick this beautiful gated horse because of the temperament and the bloodlines. It's 3 years old and it is ruined. And they end up finding me from the expos. I used to do a lot of expos back then. And they'd send the horse to me, and the horse was just pushed too hard and rushed. And they start these gated horses, they're training right out on the trail. And these horses don't have a lot of confidence, and they're being exposed to lots of new stimuli constantly to make them bomb-proof, and the horses are blown, you guys. They're just blown. They're rushed. And so this poor horse has the same kind of behavior I'm used to, high head, you know, oh my gosh, what's around the corner? They're used to blowing and going, blowing and going. So what really has to happen is this whole training approach needs to go super slow, and to teach this horse the opposite, that when I get on or I come around and we work together, we take our time, we slow things down, there's not a lot of pressure, there's a lot of relaxation for the horse to decompress and process. Wow, blows my mind.
It's a slow ride now, they won't do anything wild.
Slow ride, you're lucky. So I'm sure she has a lot of inconsistencies. Some days are good and others are bad.
She was the only horse I've ever had. So this is like the second horse. But she is a little wild. She has little issues that we need to work through.
Yeah, I bet she's a little wild. Look at that big old curb bit and shank in her mouth.
I bought a round pen and I've been trying to work.
Look at her, it's all fast and hurried. Horse never has a chance to slow down, you guys.
I started by trying to tie her up and get on and off. Horse that worked because she had nowhere to go. Tried putting her in the round pen and doing the flow and pulling back on the reins while I was trying to get on. She would stand still for a minute until you got your foot in the stirrup and halfway up, and then she would take off.
Well, a lot of this too, guys, and I've seen this before, is the horses, saw how quiet that horse was in the round pen, because it was a different environment. And so what happens is, as soon as you have the horse out in the open, and this looks like a trail ride to the horse is ready to what? Blow and go. So when you take them out of their old environment where they've been rushed and run and gated to death, and put them in a round pen like that, or even a small arena, they're not used to being ridden in those environments. So they're a lot quieter because they don't have any negative experiences yet. So it's interesting right there. The horse was real quiet, a loose rein. She put her foot over the horse and in the other stirrup, and the horse turned around and either got a treat from her probably, or it looked at her, but she didn't even have hold of the reins in the round pen. But then she's showing you all this stuff out in the open in a field, and the horse has been taught to go and blow. It's just ridiculous, but Clinton's gonna beat this horse down and talk about what a jerk it is, probably.
Whole time, not what I was looking for.
So yeah, nobody's addressing the mindset on these horses. You got to fix that mind, change its experience totally. Oh my gosh, quick fixes, that's what this is all about. Beat them down into submission. Big bits,
It scares
big
me
saddle.
for her that she's going to hurt herself, and it scares me for me that something's going to happen.
And another thing is, when you guys, if you go to this video, I can replay it a little bit. You never want your back cinch on your Western saddle to be that loose. If a horse ever kicked up to get a fly off its belly and got its foot caught in that back cinch, you'd be in a whole hell of a mess. Let's see if we can play that. So that back cinch needs to be snug. Yep. The whole purpose of the back cinch was for roping, you guys. So to keep the back of the saddle from flipping up when they were working the cattle and roping them. Other than that, there's really no reason to have a back cinch if you're not going to be using it. But use it correctly.
Never got the end result, never got her to stand still the whole time, not what I was looking for.
Well, that's just stupid. Why would you even try to ride like that?
It scares me for her that she's going to hurt herself, and it scares
And she
me
doesn't
for
have a
me
helmet.
that
Now that's stupid.
it's gonna hurt both of us.
Come on, people. What do you think?
Let's be safe, really. This is what I'm
You want to be safe? Then wear a helmet and don't ride your horse like that. Ay, ay, ay. He just browbeats his horses.
Go to get on him. It's just plain disrespectful and dangerous.
Disrespectful. So did you hear what he just said? He called this horse disrespectful. He is so wrong. But his whole mindset is it's the horse's fault. And I'm going to fix that horse. I'm going to show that horse where that horse belongs. I find it interesting on all of Clinton's, I think most of them, I don't know, I don't follow him. But if you guys look, the comments are disabled. Most of his videos, whenever I search for something I want to talk about or somebody sends me in this direction, most of his comments are disabled. I wonder why.
Right as it was moving down the road, you just talk to
So that's really all I have to say about him.
Still, be respectful when they got to get on. It's a safety thing for me and those.
No joke, it's a safety feature. It's how you're going to teach them.
Well, if you remember on last week's show, we had Melissa, good to have you on the show again, mate, and her horse Star, and both of them had some problems.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that horrible? The poor horse is just a ball of nerves, you guys.
We walked through the trailer. My method is all about respect, getting control, getting that
Yep. Control and respect, so he thinks he doesn't care why.
She really changed the whole attitude.
So, in my experience of working over 1,000 horses, I get these horses that have come from Clinton Anderson clinics. Some of them have had some handling from training from Clinton Anderson instructors, and these horses eventually will go back, regress, and explode. And their owners find me because they're at their wits' end. They know in their gut and in their heart how something went wrong, that it's not the horse's fault. They find me through my YouTube videos, they reach out to me, and they meet with me, and I end up undoing all of this because I get to the cause. But you know, even John Lyons, John Lyons is a sweetheart of a man. I met him just starting out as a clinician many, many years ago. It's not John John Lyons is another one. He's great. It's not his method that's rough. But unfortunately, your method gets diluted every time you have a franchise. Your business is set up like Clinton's, Pirelli's, John Lyons, where you have so many people that want to get certified in your training method, and it gets diluted because you personally lose more control over how it's being taught and how your certified instructors are learning and the quality of how they're teaching. So a lot of horses I've gotten from Clinton and John Lyons from their certified instructors who have just manhandle these horses and run them into the ground. And it may last a short period. That horse will submit for a short period, but then it comes undone because they go back to their owner who does care, who's not going to be that harsh with them. And the horse goes back to its fear.